Howdy, folks. My name's Morgan Hardy. I'm a loan broker at Foundation Mortgage out of Knoxville, Tennessee. Do mortgages, right? And one thing that I deal extensively with is short-term rentals. I do short-term analytics to see if a property will pay for itself, essentially, which is one of the available ways when they can be financed. Very recently, we got a piece of data from a fellow by the name of Nick Gurley. He works for an analysis firm, owns one, and he's stated that Sevierville, the market, Sevierville, Tennessee, next door to us, has experienced a 47% year-over-year decline. This is at best a data perversion. At worst, it's a complete myth and fabrication. I have access to premium for both All the Doors and AirDNA. And I'm going to show you exactly what the actual data says and show you why that there's no reason to panic for folks that have sound financials in their operating Airbnb. The first thing I want you to notice about the tweet that's caused this big stir is that it's using some pretty interesting numbers in even what they're stating they're pulling from. It's percentage change in revenue per available listing from May 2022 to May 2023. And it's using all the rooms as its example data. We'll talk about that in a moment. And it's calculated as a 3-month average revenue per listing from May 2023 compared to May 2022. Why 3 months? Why does that make sense? It doesn't. There's not a great reason to use a 3-month benchmark. If you're going to use we also don't know what the 3-month average is. Are we capturing between January to March available data, or in this example, it'd be March to May completed? What dates are we using in here? This is super important to know because Sevierville, as a vacation destination, has significant seasonality. And one thing that you'll notice is that there are big data gaps and there are big peaks and valleys in the data based on the season in Sevierville. Let's get into the actual all the rooms information, and then we're going to take a little bit more common source. Here's all the rooms data analysis for the Sevierville market, and it's very similar to other popular ones like AirDNA. In all the rooms, this is looking at total revenue and also average daily rate. When we're looking at this, it's pretty remarkable. So this is a 4-year look back. We start back here at May, and we've got market revenue down the 3 million mark, climbing over 1,000%. That's nuts. Doesn't even make that much sense when you think about it. I mean, obviously things got a lot more popular but to have 1,000% increase really stretches the edges of believability. And it's not that short-term rentals have been an unknown factor in the Smokies for any significant amount of time. There have always been short-term rentals in the Smokies. A lot of times it was done on a private basis, things like that. Maybe Airbnb, Vrbo didn't have as many public listeds listed through those channels, but there is no way that there was 1,000% increase between 4 years ago and a year ago. And then we had this massive surge during the pandemic in what they state the total average daily rate is, which is really driving what this is. So we go from a 284 in April 2021 average daily rate to a 644. So if you're taking that specific moment in time and you are comparing it to what we have right now, it's a pretty big gap. But what I'm challenging is the assertion that this is even close to accurate. This is a monster. And also, if you think about it, if we look back through here, everyone that was back here that did this purchase anywhere pre-pandemic, in fact, halfway through the pandemic, they're still fine. We have our peaks and valleys here. This is not a really rough looking trend line. The biggest thing that makes me think that this could be a complete fabrication on Nick Gurley's part, this is the headline, is that all the rooms only publishes data. They've only reconciled data through April 25th of 2023. I can't even get a validated year-over-year number for the month of April, much less May, what he's claiming. How on earth can he produce an accurate list of what all the rooms is saying when we have this level of data fidelity and this level of verification available to us? So let's talk about all the rooms. All the rooms is a very clear and distant place to AirDNA in terms of analysis. For example, all the rooms Twitter has been completely dormant for 3 years now. I'm not saying they're not still active and in operation, but they are certainly not a market leader when it comes to AirBNB analytics. And when I even just the surface of looking at this data, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Let's go take a look at AirDNA, which is the clear market leader when it comes to analytics on Airbnb and short-term listings. Let's see what they have to say. And here we go with AirDNA. As you see, it looks a lot different, and you actually do get complete granularity in the listings. You can see exactly what they're pulling, and they're pulling a lot larger variety of data sources. As you see, we see our Verbo marks, we see our Airbnb marks. If we compare that to the heat map that we saw a moment ago, it's a lot different. So when we're looking at the headlines that they provide, yeah, we're down, but it's not on a monster basis. Here's total market revenue, and total market revenue is really remarkable. Total market revenue, as we're looking at things, doesn't really shift to that extent that we see. And look at this March 2021. Remember that massive monster spike that all the rooms recorded. AirDNA has nothing like that. Absolutely nothing. Doesn't exist in this data. There is a data point. There is some sort of data fidelity loss at all the rooms that is causing that to be a very manipulable, very scary looking number when you start talking about year over years, when the reality is, when we look at what we know has higher data fidelity, is not scary at all. You know, I look at these things, that's average hill revenue, right? But let's look at rates. Let's look at average daily rates. Nothing. Look at that. We've got some decline. We anticipated that. No operators are sitting here saying that there hasn't been decline in the Sevierville market, but it's much more modest. And again, if we're looking at ADRs from the early part, people who bought in 2018, 2019, before everything exploded, they're still fine. We do have some concerns. I'm worried about folks that bought between late 2020 and mid 2022. Those folks probably bought on financials that may not make sense anymore, but that's buying the top of the market. That's what that'll do to you. It's buying Tesla stock when it's 950. Well, paid off now, but I mean, it's horrifying for a little while. You can't buy high and sell low. And if you bought in the heat of the market, which some people did, sometimes you're going to get punished, and sometimes things won't make sense anymore. Even occupancy rates are not in that bad a shape. Let's go take a look at it. We're looking at occupancy. Again, you see our seasonality here. Look at our winter months here. Boom, 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 boom. And this is why I say, when we say 3-month averages, what are we using? Are we crawling back into those February months where occupancy is really low? But look at this. Occupancy's never really moved that much. And I want to zoom in on this just to show you I'm using the same dang map. There's no difference. This one just don't go up to Kodak. That's it. It's the only difference. So it's really frustrating when we get news articles, TV articles that takes these headline numbers and doesn't actually research the underlying. Yeah, this was expensive for me to get, no doubt. I mean, this is pricey. It was a sacrifice, but to me, it's worth it to get real, actionable information out there and show you that we have a damn near a fraud going on that's trying to start a panic in our local market. and it's got to come to a stop. We've got to get these articles retracted. We've got to broaden the scope and get information out there that shows you what actually is going on. Nick Gurley, if you watch this, show your data, show how I can verify your May numbers when they are not publicly available. They're not even for pay available. Show your data, and then we can have a conversation about how you got to where you got and why the reality looks so much different.